High school concerts were kind of a big deal for me back then, not just the music but the whole scene. The way showing up with the right people felt like having some kind of social currency. Getting to these shows wasn't just about hearing Def Leppard or whoever was playing. It was almost like some secret handshake. This way of proving you belonged somewhere beyond the awkward halls of school. I wasn't the most popular guy, but I definitely knew how to read the room and pick my moments. So, there I was dating this girl. Actually, we'd only been together a couple of weeks. She went to a different school. I thought she was genuine. Sweet, maybe a little mysterious, and yeah, definitely cute. But I started sensing something was off pretty quickly, mostly because she kept talking about this upcoming Def Leppard concert like it was the only thing on her calendar. Almost like she was planning her whole semester around it. Now, I'm not blaming anyone for wanting to go to a good show, trust me. But the way she brought it up, it wasn't about the music. It was more like she was zeroing in on the ticket itself, as if I was a walking VIP pass. And the moment I caught that vibe, my gut flipped its switch. The more I thought about it, the more I realized she probably wasn't that into me at all. It was the concert she wanted, and I was just the easiest way to score tickets. Fast forward to the week before the big night. I decided I wasn't going to be a fool. So, I pulled the plug on us, text message style, because that felt suitably cold and sharp. Maybe petty? Sure. But honestly, it felt more like justice. When I broke it off, she sounded annoyed, but I didn't care. My decision wasn't born out of anger but intuition. I just knew I had to block that move before it happened. I mean, what's the point of being played like a pawn in someone else's game? No thanks. The night of the concert, I went solo. I knew the crowd, knew some folks who'd been warning me about this girl's reputation as a bit of a social climber. And that feeling I had stuck with me. She showed up, sure, waiting at the entrance with those fake smiles, but no VIP ticket in hand because now she had nowhere to get one. She had counted on me to open that door. And when I shut it, it hit her harder than I expected. Months later, in some random conversation, her friend spilled the beans. Apparently, the concert plan was her big social move for the year. Like her version of a power play. The story made the rounds after she got left standing by the gate. And instead of her coming off as the cool, untouchable girl who scored the best night out, the narrative flipped. She was the one who got played. And not just by me but by her own overconfidence. It's funny how a simple gut feeling, something you can't always explain, can lead you to make a move that changes everything. I learned that night that sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet and smart. Just a quick breakup text and the ability to walk away while someone else has to deal with the fallout. That whole experience stuck with me, shaping how I trusted people and reminding me that sometimes your instincts are sharper than the nicest smiles. And honestly, that's just the start of the kind of cold, calculated payback I would come to rely on, because what came next in college was personal, messy, and way more unpredictable in the best way. So, here's a story from a few years after college that still makes me cringe and laugh whenever I think about it. I'd gotten over the whole breakup thing, or so I thought. The classic scenario, you date someone, you put your heart out there, you trust them, and then bam, cheated on. It stings. But by the time this story takes place, a good chunk of anger had dulled into this weird mix of indifference and a little bit of dark humor. And honestly, that's probably what saved my sanity. Anyway, it was one of those nights when I found myself at this bar we used to frequent back in college. The kind of place where the booths are sticky. The music's just loud enough to drown out your thoughts, and every bartender knows your go-to drink. I'd gone there with a few friends trying to unwind, just doing that casual, catch some laughs and forget about life type of thing. I was sitting at the bar, chatting with this new girl I had met that night. She was funny, smart, and totally different from the college crowd I was used to. We were deep in conversation when out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a familiar face walking towards us. I froze for a second because it was her, my ex-girlfriend, the one who busted my trust in the worst way. She looked a bit disheveled, like maybe the years hadn't been too kind, or maybe it was just the lighting and the booze talking. Either way, the sight of her stirred up all these old memories and that not-so-nice knot in my stomach. She plopped down next to me, clearly drunk, and started flirting like nothing ever happened. The confidence she had back then? Yeah, it was still there. Only now undercut with slurred words and a knowing smirk. And this is where my brain made a surprising move because honestly I didn't know what to do. Ignore her? That seemed too easy and boring. Slam the door shut? Too angry and raw. But then this ridiculous idea popped up. And before I knew it, I was rolling with it. I looked her dead in the eye, keeping my voice calm but with this sly little edge, and said, "You know, I hear congratulations are in order." She blinked confused. "Yeah, because I heard you're pregnant." The expression on her face was priceless. Half disbelief, half panic. She hiccuped and laughed nervously, but I just kept it straight-faced, letting the awkwardness do its work. "Yeah, you're gonna be a mom," I said, leaning in like I was sharing the biggest secret of the year. She stammered, trying to deny it, but I could tell she had no idea what to say. And that's when the subtle triumph hit me. Not because I wanted to hurt her. I genuinely felt like I was wrapping up a loose end that had been bugging me for years, but because I finally took control of a situation that had left me feeling powerless so many times before. The whole bar fell silent around our little exchange. Even the bartender paused mid-pour. And there she was, red-faced and speechless, while I casually turned back to my new conversation, leaving her to stew in her own confusion. It was a moment of closure carved out of embarrassment, humor, and just the right amount of playful cruelty. Not the revenge you see in movies with elaborate plans and dramatic confrontations. No, this was smaller, subtler, a personal win delivered in a single, awkward instant. And just like that, the night moved on. But from that unexpected bar encounter, I learned something valuable about payback. Not every kind of justice has to be grand or vindictive. Sometimes it's the little moments of getting the last word, however imperfectly executed, that really stick with you. This story of grudges mixed with unexpected humor actually sets the stage for the last one I want to tell, where a long-standing rivalry turns upside down and leads to a moment I never saw coming, full of kindness and karma. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about hurting people at all. It's about surprising them in ways they could never imagine. You know, looking back, I never thought I'd have anything good to say about my old neighbor, Mr. Thompson. Growing up, we were basically the definition of enemies in the suburbs. He was that grumpy guy who'd yell whenever our basketball bounced near his garden, and honestly, I think I made it my personal mission to annoy him just as much as he annoyed me. We had this long-standing rivalry that stretched through my entire childhood and well into high school. Our interactions were mostly cold stares, passive-aggressive notes about kids these days, and me making sure our dog's bark reached right up to his porch every morning. Not exactly friendly territory. Fast forward a few years after high school, and life had taken us both in different directions. I moved out of our old neighborhood, got a decent job, and started building the life I wanted. Yet, despite all that distance, I couldn't help but still feel that old irritation whenever I thought about Mr. Thompson. Then one late summer evening, something unexpected happened. I was driving home after a late shift when I spotted a figure standing beside his old beat-up pickup truck on a lonely stretch of road. It was him, Mr. Thompson, looking completely stranded and frustrated. Now, I'm not gonna lie, part of me hesitated. Old grudges don't just vanish overnight, and it would have been so easy to drive on by. But then I thought, what good does holding on to that anger really do? So I pulled over, rolled down my window, and offered him a ride home. At first he looked surprised, maybe suspicious even, but he climbed in without a word. The car ride was quiet but not awkward. For once there was a sort of peace between us. I remember thinking maybe this was the moment all our past tensions just melted away. By the time we pulled up to his house, he just gave me this small nod, a silent acknowledgement. It wasn't a friendship, not yet, but it felt like the first page of a new story. Then here comes the twist. The very next morning my car refused to start. Dead as a doornail. I'm standing there frustrated, thinking of all the deadlines I had that day when out of nowhere, there was Mr. Thompson, pulling up with jumper cables and a bit of a grin. Without a second thought, he jumped in and got my engine humming again. No fuss, no reminders of our past battles. Just pure unexpected kindness. That moment hit me hard. Life has this odd way of flipping the script when you least expect it. The neighbor who once annoyed me to no end turned out to be the one who came through when I really needed help. It made me realize how complicated people can be. That sometimes payback isn't about revenge at all, but about surprising each other with goodwill, even after years of rivalry. And honestly, it was in that irony, the enemy turned ally, that I found a new kind of respect. Because sometimes the stories we tell about others are only half the picture, and it takes a moment of kindness to unravel all the old grudges. This isn't just about settling scores the way we expect, but about how payback can evolve into something a lot more unexpected and meaningful. So yeah, that's how what started out as neighborhood rivalry ended up teaching me something real about forgiveness, fate, and how complicated human connections can be. This story closes the whole arc: revenge, karma, and unexpected twists. Not just with a satisfying ending, but with the reminder that payback sometimes turns into friendship when you least see it